Man, oh man. Another one, man. 3 consecutive series wins to begin the year. Not just 3 consecutive series wins. They're 8-2 to start the season in their first 10 games. And you're playing 3 series against 3 really tough teams. You're playing a Houston Astros team that I believe is still very good. They might not be the dynasty team that let me put that in quotes because I don't even believe that. They might not be the dynasty team that they were, but I still think that Houston team's good. So they beat Houston, who have given the Yankees hell in the past. They went to Arizona, took on the NL champs, took 2 out of 3 there. They come back home. Home opener was a dud, but you're taking on the American League East champs, and then you end up taking 2 out of 3 then. It's not a bad start. Some would say a good start. Some would say a great start for your 2024 New York Yankees. Taking down the Blue Jays now. That's what they just did this past weekend. Can I say that I think the Blue Jays are a little bit overrated? Can I say that? Like, they've been doing this whole thing. Young kids, future, the sons of Hall of Famers. You got Bichette out there. You got Guerrero out there. You got Biggio. They've been kind of hyping these kids up for a while. It's a little bit now. And, you keep hearing the Blue Jays, and fucking Vlad with his quotes trying to be a villain so bad to the Yankees, and he's, this year's the movie, whatever the fuck. It's like we're waiting on that shit. Yeah, you won the division last year. You did get swept along with everybody else. No, they didn't win the division. What am I talking about? Did they win the division? No, Baltimore took the division. Toronto came second. Still, you know where I'm going with this. Fuck, man. It's a good... Now I'm trying to look back at the tweet I put out so I can delete it because I just realized I said the Jays won the division. What an idiot. Let me delete that. But regardless, it's a good feeling to have this Yankees team fucking go 8-2 in the first 10. Considering everything that's went on, are you shitting me? The Garrett Cole injury last second? It's like, okay. Fine, we'll just hit our way there and we'll get enough pitching, and that's what's happened so far. And we'll talk about it all. Episode 660 here on the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Welcome to the podcast. Let's go. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for 3. That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball. Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
Trying to close the show.
She was doing a great job of feeding.
That is
It's over. Coming up, so Katie, don't you regret not coming to the net? Don't you regret not coming to the net? Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
So, during that intro, I just went on my phone and checked the standings from last year. Jesus Christ, they didn't even place second. The Jays placed third. So, fucking scratch all that. I'm going to leave that in there because I'm an idiot. And I deserve the flack that I get from nobody because nobody listens to this. But, holy shit. It was good. The Yankees starting out the season with tough teams, and they've passed. That's what I'm trying to say. And maybe I should hold back on the Blue Jays being overrated thing because, like, we do go to Toronto, the Yankees do, in about a week or so. But it felt good. Felt good to take 2 more games. Before we dive in, some in-house stuff. I think it was yesterday. It was it was initially that Jonathan Loaisiga was going on the 60-day because of a right flexor issue. And then a few days later, you find out that Loaisiga is done for the season with a torn right UCL. He's going to get surgery, and that will end his 2024 season. He's not getting Tommy John, but he's getting surgery on the UCL, so he's done. This is unsurprising to me. It's probably unsurprising to many of you. Any Yankees fan knows that Jonathan Loaisiga is on the DL every single season. The guy just unfortunately can't stay healthy. And I had a feeling, I said this on social media a couple times. I had a feeling something might have been up. I don't know if they knew at this time, but like when Jonathan Loaisiga only threw, I think, 1 inning in the spring, and he went so long before he threw that inning, I was like, what's going on here? Maybe something's up. So I'm wondering if it goes back to that and they knew something for a little bit, but they kind of just didn't think of it to be that big. But he's done. And Santana has been promoted. Jonathan Loaisiga is hurt and finished. And that's just another guy who goes down. Loaisiga is another one of these dudes who he's got a smaller stature. He's bulky, but he's short, small, but he's a high velo guy. He throws that 98, 99 mile an hour 2-seam fastball. And what you're seeing it these last couple days around the MLB, pitchers are just, the injuries are just doubling. It's getting worse and worse. And, there's a lot of debate on what the cause is. At the end of the day, it's not natural. It's not healthy to throw 98 miles an hour consistently. And I saw a good social media post kind of just saying like how it's a combination of a lot of things. With certain guys, it might be this, certain guys, it might be that. And I want to read it by Rocco Constantino, a Facebook user. I just came across my feed. And he posted this, and I'll quote, "Here's why pitchers' elbows keep exploding." And then he lists a bunch of bullet points. And it says, modern training, modern theory, minor league development, youth ball, pitch clock. That triggers people when people bring that up. Chasing spin rate, chasing velo, pitch counts, no tackified grip. That's a good point. Less former MLB. I love these last 2 points. Less former MLB pitchers coaching and training with social media fools. I love that. I feel like there are too many Ivy League nerds in the game who never have played baseball at any kind of professional or any kind of high level before. And that might cause this whole obsession with throwing hard and spin rates. Because, yeah, you're seeing these guys like Shane Bieber just went down. Spencer Strider just went down. The kid with the Marlins, Yuri Perez, he just went down. They lost him to Tommy John. And it is happening every year. Obviously, Cole had a scare. Now Jonathan Loaisiga tore his UCL. And he's probably done as a Yankee, by the way. That's probably it for Jonathan Loaisiga. So RIP to him and pinstripes. He is expiring. So he'll be probably with a different team next year. But now the bullpen needs help, and we'll certainly talk about that. But that's one thing I wanted to point out. Garrett Cole, on a good note, has been cleared to throw. He will start throwing this week. I think they said Monday. That's good, but my pet peeve is like they give us all these like the baseball activities. He's doing jumping jacks in the outfield. He's playing patty cake with Boone in the back. Like, I don't care. It doesn't do much for me. It's good to know that Garrett Cole is actually allowed to throw now for a guy that we all thought was going to go down with Tommy John. The fact that not even a month later from the injury being reported, he's allowed to throw, that's positive. DJ LeMahieu might be close, which it seemed to be a lot grimmer a couple days ago, but it seems like he's close now. He took swings this past weekend in the cage, so we'll see where that goes. Not exactly, thrilled like for him to come back and take Oswaldo's spot. I hope that wouldn't happen. I can't imagine they're going to do that. And then Rougned Odor was a like out of the blue signing. Odor signed with the Yankees on a minor league contract. This is a guy who's just a really awful hitter. He wasn't that good his first time around with the Yankees. I think the best part of him was the fact that he gave them some home runs from the left side of the plate. I think he hit 15 home runs, but his OPS hasn't been above the 600s for a while now, and maybe it's because of the Yorbit Vivas injury down in their minor league system that they brought in Odor, a veteran. I don't know. It's weird. And then lastly, before we get to everything, Austin Wells apparently changed his number. I didn't even notice until somebody brought it up. He changed his number from 88 to number 28. So there's that. That's good to see him no longer have the old prospect number. The next prospect, I do like the 95 with Oswaldo. I was going to say maybe he's next, but kind of fits him. And one thing I forgot to do in the last two episodes, the first two episodes of this 2024 season, if you are a new listener, if you are a new viewer, maybe you're on YouTube, welcome. Welcome to the Yankees 2024 season. I am your host, RJ Carbone. This is BD4 podcast, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We do MMA on occasion. Yanks every series, Knicks every game. And the way we do these Yankees episodes is we recap the 3 games of the series, or the 4 games, or the 2 games. We recap every game of the series, summarize it, give our thoughts on some things, and then we have some topics that we get to after. How I thought the bats did. Maybe there's a new storyline developing. We talk about that. And then we also hand out 3 awards every series, which I call tipping my cap. I tip my cap to a starting pitcher in the series on the Yankees, the best starting pitcher. I tip my cap to that guy. I tip my cap to the best relief pitcher of each series from the Yankees. And I tip my cap to the best position player from the Yankees each series. So we do that once a series, 3 times an episode, and that's how this works. It's just basically a player of the series for each position role. So with that said, welcome, and we are going to get into this thing now. We'll start diving into these 3 games as soon as we return from our first break. Stay with us.
Hey there, thanks for listening in so far. If you enjoy this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much.
Welcome back to the show, episode 660 of BD4. The Yanks win their first home series. It felt good to win it, man. And let's get to our first game of the series, which took place on Friday, where the Yankees won this game. No, they lost this game. The Yankees lost this first game 3-0 to the Toronto Jays, where it was Marcus Stroman going up against Kikuchi. Top of the first, Juan Soto gets his first roll call in Yankee Stadium. That was nice to see him acknowledge the fans. Alex Verdugo, same thing. He got into it. And then Stroman pitching the home opener. So that was cool. But this was a pitcher's duel. For the first 6 innings, both starting pitchers put up zeros. And then top of the 7th comes the Yanks go to Caleb Ferguson, first in relief, and then right away he lets up a home run to this guy just killed the Yankees this series, Ernie Clement. Solo home run, 1-0 Jays. Top of the 9th, it gets worse when the Yankee pen gives up more runs. It was a disastrous inning where you had a wild pitch that loads the bases from Nick Birdie. Or no, it was a wild pitch with the bases loaded already, so a run scored there. And then you had the pass ball. This one was definitely on Jose Trevino, and it's all of a sudden 3-0 Jays going into the bottom of the 9th, where, excuse me, former Yankee Chad Green is in for the Jays, and he gets Judge and Stanton pretty quickly. And then you get a little bit of a fake rally with Rizzo getting on, Volpe getting on, but they do nothing with it, and the Yankees lose this game 3-0. 6 hits for the Yankees. All of them were singles. They struck out 11 times, hit into a double play, and were 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position in this game. The left-hander Kikuchi hurt them. They scored, obviously, no runs against him. He went 5 1/3. This is a pitcher who I don't think is very good. He had a good year last year, but like every year before that, which is like 3 or 4 seasons prior to last year, he was not good. But they made him look like Randy Johnson. His curveball was just quieting the lefty bats on the team. I mean, Soto, Rizzo weren't able to do much up top. And then with the right-handed bats also being neutralized, they were walking Judge to just, pitch around him, and they were just giving fastballs to Giancarlo, which he wasn't turning on yet. And they just, it was a bad night. The only Yankee with multiple hits, Volpe, 2 for 4. He was caught stealing. Verdugo was 1 for 3 with a walk. Glaber, 1 for 4. Rizzo, same thing. Birdie, 1 for 3. Judge was 0 for 2, couple of walks. Soto, 0 for 4. Stanton, 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. And Trevino was 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. Hit into a double play, played some bad defense. This was the last game of the series that he played in. The big controversy, I don't know, for lack of a better word, was Aaron Boone. Well, I guess one of the other decisions that he made was taking out Marcus Stroman. Some people thought he should have brought him back out for the 7th, because as soon as he pulled him, Ferguson comes into the game, and right away he gives up the home run. But I wasn't stressing over that. What really bothered me was the 7th and 8th inning. When the Jays went to righty Richards came into the game, and he's a right-handed pitcher. But in the 7th inning, Boone chose to stick with John Birdie over Oswaldo Cabrera. And then in the 8th inning, he chose to stick with Jose Trevino over Austin Wells. Now, the reason for it, this guy Richards is a reverse splits guy. He throws that his changeup to left-handed hitters is way more effective, despite him being a right-handed pitcher. So Boone went with the numbers over matchup, over feel. I didn't love that because Trevino's a very awful hitter, and he's also better against lefties. Oswaldo, it's I don't know, he's kind of unsure which side he wants to bat from, but the Trevino over Austin Wells thing was very frustrating. You could have even went to Oswaldo in that 8th inning too. Anybody but Jose Trevino there. I felt you needed runs. Jose Trevino is a bad hitter, period, but he's better against lefties, and Nick Richards is a right-handed pitcher. So why, reverse splits guy? It didn't make a lot of sense to me. But we won the series, so I'm not going to harp on that, and that's all I'll say there. Stroman went 6. We'll talk on him later. The bullpen, 3 innings in this game, 3 runs, 3 earned runs. Ferguson pitched 2/3 of an inning, let up a run on 2 hits, the home run. That was his first real blip of the season. Santana came in after that, an inning and 2/3, couple runs, 2 hits, a walk, didn't love. And then Nick Birdy struggled. 2/3 of an inning, gives up an inherited run, walks 2, throws a wild pitch. He had no control. No control. He was extremely wild. And that was your first game of the series where, once again, the Yankees lost 1-0. Let's get to the second game of the series. The Yankees win this one 9-5. No, not 9-5. 9-8. I have the wrong score. Let me fix that. It was actually, 9-2 or some shit? But they win this one 9-8. It was Clark Schmidt who went up against Kevin Gausman. And in the bottom of the first inning, the Yankees on the board. This is my favorite thing. When the Yankees score in the first, I am like, this is one of my dreams. Get on the board early, shake the morale and confidence of the other team, because statistically speaking, you score first, you're going to win the game most of the time. Judge and Stanton go back-to-back with home runs. Loved that, but what I loved more was the fact that Soto walked, Judge homered. And that, folks, was the exact idea of that trade. That's the exact idea of the batting order the Yankees roll with. Soto walk, Judge pop, boom. And it was 3-zip Yankees after 1. Second inning, bottom of the second. Gleyber Torres just misses a home run in center field, but gets the sac fly RBI. Then you get the pass ball on Servin. That's a run right there. Soto, off of Gausman, hits an RBI single. It's 6-0 Yankees. Gausman was pulled right after the Soto base hit. Top 3, Justin Turner hits the sac fly. It's 6-1. Top 4, Jays make it 6-2 when Kiermaier picks up an RBI. Bottom of the 5th, big hit by Anthony Rizzo. In relief, the Jays go to White, and he hangs a slider, and Anthony Rizzo hits his first home run of the season on that hanging slider. It's a 2-run shot to make it 8-2 Yankees, which would eventually become 9-2 in the bottom of the 6th when Juan Soto rips an RBI single off of Meza, and it's 9-2. This is where it gets very annoying. Top 7 comes. Vlad Jr. hits a solo home run off of a Luke Weaver cutter. He does the whole thing. That got Kay and O'Neill triggered. It got Yankees fans triggered. It annoyed me, but it's just a part of the game. It's part of what he does. He tries to do the whole anti-Yankees, Yankees villain shtick. Vogelback comes up. He rips an RBI double off of a Weaver cutter. Luke Weaver's cutter was bad in this. He left this one up. Soto misplays it off the wall. Clement comes up next, who I said has been killing the Yankees all series. Hits the sac fly. That's when Weaver's pulled. It's 9-5. Not done yet. Top of the 9th, the Jays score more. Schneider rips an RBI double off Ian Hamilton, who didn't have it. Soto misplays another ball off the wall. Holmes comes in. He gets a 6-3 ground out to Volpe. But it's 9-8 now. Finally gets Springer to strike out on a sweeper. And the Yankees do win 9-8. But this was a rough one to watch. The bats were great. 9 runs on 10 hits. 4 of them extra base hits. 5 strikeouts. A double play hit into. And they were 3 for 7 in scoring position. They beat up on Gausman. He allowed 6 runs in an inning and a third. We're talking about one of the better starting pitchers, folks. He's a very, very good pitcher. Very good right-handed pitcher, and the Yankees really doing some impressive work on him. They were spitting on the splitter. I don't know if he was tipping his pitches because they were all over him. Maybe he was hurt because the velocity was very down. There were times where his four-seamer, usually around 93, 94, it was hitting 87. His stuff didn't have any bite to it, and they say that when you're hurt, your location is the thing that's off. He didn't have great location either. So I don't know if he was injured. I'm not going to assume he was injured. I haven't heard anything about it since. Maybe it was just the cold weather. It was a very cold, windy night in New York City. But they got to him, And Gleyber Torres, 1 for 3 in this game. A double, a walk, sac fly, RBI, stolen base. Soto, 2 for 3, couple of walks and RBIs. Judge, 2 for 3, couple of walks, a home run, 2 RBIs. Rizzo goes 1 for 5, home run, 2 RBIs. Stanton goes 3 for 4 with the homer and an RBI. Oswaldo goes 1 for 4. Made a nice play at third base early in the game. Really good play. And I didn't think he had the arm strength to complete it. Made the nice throw. Verdugo 0 for with a walk. Volpe was 0 for catcher's interference and a stolen base. And Austin Wells also 0 for with a walk. And he flirted with a home run a couple times, driving the ball deep. Clark Schmidt was on the mound for the Yankees in 4 1/3. 2 runs, 6 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, no home runs, 91 pitches, and the no decision. It was very, very, very reminiscent of last year's Clark Schmidt problems. He was removed in this game with 1 out in the 5th inning. So he didn't give you much length because he continues to wear out, the 3rd time through the order. And he was a big reason the Yankees had to waste their bullpen in this game, right? They gave him the 6-0 lead. They gave him a 6-0 lead. And then after that, he lost his command completely. And he started putting traffic on the bases. He started giving up extra base hits, which that was a big problem for him last year. Early on, he was doing pretty well getting into and out of trouble, right? The first inning, much like Stroman in the opening, and on opening day, he gives up a leadoff double to Springer. And he gets I think it was a ground ball after that, strikeout, and then a ground out. So we worked out of that. Second inning, very similar, a 1-out double to Clement. Then he goes cutter up and away to Varsho for a strikeout, and then sinker to get the ground ball to Oswaldo, 5-3. So he was able to work out of it early on. I thought his cutter looked pretty good. He was throwing it more than he usually does, and he was getting some outs with the cutter. But speaking of issues from last year, an interesting trend, 2-start trend, to keep an eye on. Last year, he was very good. In years prior, he was very good at getting outs against righties. Righty on righty, and this was why I thought he would be an excellent platoon guy out of the bullpen. But righties were not a problem for him last year. He's having some I don't know the numbers. I don't have them in front of me. I could look on Savant, but I don't really feel like it. He's struggling against right-handed pitchers, right-handed hitters this year. And lefties have been easier for him to get through. So I don't think it's going to continue. This is a guy who usually gets the righties out. But yeah, Clark Schmidt didn't give you much length. And then the Pen had to go 4 2/3 because of that, and they allowed 6 runs. They were just awful. Luke Weaver, 2 innings, 3 runs, 3 hits, home run, walk, hit batter. He completely ran out of gas in the 7th inning there. He just lost the command. It was either smack in the middle of the zone or it was way outside of the zone. And then Gonzalez comes in, an inning and 2/3, no runs, a walk. Good. He was the only good arm of the night because after him, Hamilton had his first clunker, 2/3 of an inning, 3 runs, 2 hits, a walk. And then Holmes, 2/3 of an inning, and allows 2 inherited runners to score. And I think he was credited with the save. But yeah, this was a game that was at one point a blowout, and it became a 9-8 just getting by victory. But that was game 2 of the series. Let's get to game 3 this afternoon. The Yankees. My favorite Yankee games are the 1:30 Sunday games. They hit different, as the kids say. An 8-3 win for the Yankees over the Jays in this one. Luis Gil went up against Francis. Top 3, Kirk walks, and that brings in a run with the bases loaded. We'll talk about that third inning in a second. Bottom 3, Anthony Rizzo, RBI walk. Stanton hits the grand slam. Hit that shit hard. It's 5-1. Top 5, Bichette. Again, the Yankees have a lead, 5-1. Kind of gave it away a little bit. Bichette rips the RBI double off Cousins. It's 5-2. Sixth inning, Birdie's in. Vladimir Guerrero, RBI fielder's choice, 5-3. Bottom of the 6th, Richards is in, throws a wild pitch. Volpe comes around to score. It's 6-3. And then the Yankees tack on for some safety when in the 8th inning, you get the Oswaldo Cabrera RBI single, Soto sac fly, 8-3. The Yankees win. 8 runs, 8 hits, a home run, 8 strikeouts, a double play hit into, and they were 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position. They put up 5 runs on the right-hander Francis, and they did that in 3 innings on him. They had one. They could have had an inning where they got to their bullpen. They almost were able to get to the Toronto bullpen and completely put it away in the 7th, but they wasted a couple of opportunities to tack on. You know, you had Judge and Soto walk with no outs against Richards. Then he strikes out Rizzo and Stanton, and then Verdugo comes up against Cabrera, and he flies out. But they made up for it with an 8th inning of some very good manufacturing, playing some small ball in that 8th. It was a lot of small ball. You know, it was like singles and infield singles and sac flies and stolen bases. Really good stuff by the Yankees to play some small ball in the 8th inning there. In the box score, you got Glaber going 2 for 5. Soto 1 for 3, a walk and an RBI. Judge a couple of walks. Rizzo a couple of walks and a hit by pitch. He also had an RBI. Stanton 1 for 4, a grand slam, and hold on, lost my spot. 4 RBIs, obviously. Volpe 3 for 4, 2 stolen bases. Made a nice play in the 8th inning where he gunned down Kevin Kiermaier on a play up the middle. And then Austin Wells walked, and Oswaldo walked as well as going 1 for 3 with an RBI. That was your lineup. On the mound, you had, again, Luis Gil, who goes 4 1/3 innings, 2 runs allowed on 2 hits, issued 4 walks, hit a batter, struck out 8, allowed no home runs, and threw 95 pitches, gets the no decision. I'll start with a positive. His stuff is just, I know it's cliche, but it's fucking electric. I just love watching him pitch. The ball jumps out of his hands. Just something about a young 25-year-old pitcher, man. Gives me that Luis Severino vibe. And I think he's going to be a very good pitcher in this league. Starting pitcher, I don't know. Because this kid's got some command issues. Third inning was tough. You know, he lost the zone completely. He ends up loading the bases. He hits Vlad with a pitch. He walks Bichette. He walks Kirk. And he's just completely missing with his fastball. Threw some off speed that missed the zone as well. But his fastball was primarily what he was throwing and missing with. And this was a 30-pitch third inning. 5th inning comes. He gets a quick out. And then he gives up the double to Vlad. And then he's pulled from there. So this guy, again, I think the bullpen is probably the best spot for him. He is very fastball dominant. He's going to that 4-seam a lot because his secondary, his off-speed pitchers need a lot more development. Okay, that was weird. I thought I heard something. It's late at night. Where are we? Where were we? Luis Gil. His off-speed pitches definitely need some fine-tuning. today, he threw 95 pitches, 57 of them were fastballs, so that's 60% fastball today. And I just worry, with the injury. He's coming off Tommy John. Guys are going down left and right. These fastball pitchers who throw 98 to 100 are going down left and right. And I just think it might be best off with Luis Gil's injury concerns, with his command problems, with the Yankees bullpen needing some help. Is it best that Luis comes out of the bullpen eventually? It just seems like the type of pitcher he is, he's best off in short spurts as opposed to long stints. As soon as he gets through the order, second and third time through, it's hard for him to maintain efficiency. So I'm just thinking maybe eventually, let's say Cole is out for a little more than 2 months, and it's not just the 2 months that they said. Let's give him June off. Let's say it's April, May, and also June. If by the end of May, Luis Gil is still going out there and struggling to get through 4, do you say, hey, man, you're coming off Tommy John. We're trying to limit you a little bit. Go down to AAA. You had 2 years where you couldn't pitch. Refine your secondary pitches, your off speed. Work on the fastball command. And in the meantime, we're going to call up you, Clayton. Clayton Beater, you're major league ready. We think you have the stuff. Come up and spot us a few starts until our guy's back. I'm wondering if they do that sooner rather than later, just to, again, keep Luis healthy. It just makes sense baseball-wise, health-wise, to eventually do something like that, but we'll see. It sucks because he's got electric stuff, but I just think he's best off in the bullpen. He seems like a Dellin Betances type. Because this was another night where the Pen had to go 4 2/3. They allowed a run, so only one this time. But Cousins comes in, an inning, a run, an inherited run scores, no earned runs, 2 hits, 2 walks. 6th inning, he puts 2 on with 1 out, then he's pulled. Birdie comes in after that, 2/3 of an inning, an inherited runner scores, a walk. 6th inning, he comes in after Cousins and gets a ground ball to Oswaldo, but he makes the E5. The bases are loaded, and then he works out of it. Ferguson comes in after that, throws an inning and a third, no runs, a hit, and then Santana an inning and 2/3, no runs. But as I said earlier, this one had the makings of an Angel Hernandez fucks the Yankees over game, early on in the game at least. It started in the bottom of the 1st inning, where Francis, Toronto's starting pitcher, he steps off the mound. He doesn't initiate eye contact, and he kind of quick pitches Gleyber Torres, and he ends up striking him out on that pitch. Which this was a pitch that wasn't even a strike. It was a misplaced high slider. It wasn't a strike. He calls it a strike. The pitch shouldn't have even counted, but it does. Boone gets angry. He comes on the field. He starts chirping to Angel, and Gleyber's pissed off about it. Doesn't really escalate from there, but in the top of the 3rd inning, it's kind of Luis Gil versus Angel Hernandez, and you don't want that. Luis Gil was missing spots with the 4-seamer. Angel Hernandez maybe squeezing him a little bit. Luis Gil didn't like that. You could tell by the body language, the facial expressions, the way he paused after he caught the ball from the catcher, or walking off the mound after he thought he was strike 3. So between innings, Angel Hernandez has a talk with him, and then he goes back into the dugout, and you got Boone. He's kind of giving him a stern talking, and like, hey, this is not what you do with this guy, And then bottom 3, you get the high strikeout call on Gleyber Torres again, this time a breaking ball high for a second time to Gleyber, and this was also not a strike. So it had the makings of an Aaron Boone ejection game if the Yankees weren't getting their way the rest of the way, but they did. The bats came alive, and Boone wasn't pissed, didn't get thrown out, stayed in the game, and the Yankees win despite Angel Hernandez trying to sabotage it as best as he could. But that was it. Those were all 3 games of this series. So when we return, we'll hit on a few storylines, a few topics I want to touch on, and let's do that. Stay with us here on episode 660 of BD4.
You can follow us on social media as well. On Instagram, we're at BD4Pod and at Rob J. Carbone. On X, we're at BD4Pod and at RJCBD4. And on Facebook, we're BD4.
Okay, welcome back to the show, episode 660 of the podcast. The Yanks, excuse me, the Yanks take 2 out of 3 from the Jays. They take their first home series of the year. Leadoff hitting is something I was concerned about after the LeMahieu injury. Not that I thought LeMahieu was going to hit well, but like he was the guy who was penciled in to start at leadoff before the whole foot thing. And you end up getting Gleyber Torres, which that's been his role since the opening day in Houston. Got off to a slow start. I've kind of been on his ass, but he's been a lot better than I thought. You take away the first 2 games of the season where he went 0-for, he's batting .303 in his last 8. He's been on base in 9 of the 10 games this season. He's on a 4-game hit streak. And for 2 games in a row now, he's been on base at least twice. So he's putting up good at-bats. He's actually worked the second most pitches per plate appearances in the MLB behind Yandy Diaz. So it's like, it's exactly what you want ahead of Soto and Judge. A guy who works pitches and gets on base for them. That's the quality, the number one quality of a leadoff hitter in this lineup. You want him on base for the big boppers at 2 and 3. And it's working right now. So that's why I'm not really in a rush when it comes to Anthony Volpe. And I know a lot of people want him there because Anthony Volpe shows the qualities of a leadoff man and then some with his tool set. And he had 5 more hits this series, 3 stolen bases. He also, again, he made a nice play up the middle. But he's showing those qualities. His approach is much more disciplined this year. He's spitting on pitches. He's taking the fastball the other way. He's putting the bat to the ball. He's not swinging and missing a lot. He's got a very low whiff rate. So, like, he's starting to show you that there's some depth at that leadoff spot. You know, do I prefer Anthony Volpe at leadoff? Eventually, I'm with everybody there. But right now, I just don't see the need to rush it. I feel like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If we get to the end of May, we're 2 months into the year, and Anthony Volpe's OBP is like 350 or higher, I'm going with him. At the same time, Gleyber Torres, what if he's doing his job then? Right? But right now, it's a small sample for both of these guys. I want Anthony Volpe to feel like he's not under pressure. I want him to feel comfortable. And I kind of want balance at the bottom of that order. I like having Volpe and Oswaldo, and then maybe if Wells starts hitting at the bottom there. I think that's great. So the fact that this was looked at as a weakness coming in, DJ goes down, Gleyber starts slow. Gleyber's starting to slowly pick it up a little bit. Volpe's been on fire, arguably their best player this year. It's a really bright thing for the Yankees. Now they have some options, and I would love to see what Anthony Volpe is going to do against the Miami Marlins. I feel like that's when he got hot last year. Was like the Marlins series he went off. It's like the chicken parm stretch. It was one of those series during that stretch. But yeah, leadoff is in a good spot right now. The pitching is what concerns me, of course. Listen, the Yankees have somehow managed to get by right now. like you go to MLB.com and you look up all the pitching numbers. They're 8th in ERA. They're 8th in starting pitchers ERA. But they are only 13th in innings pitched. And that's not a great number. And then you also have to figure that, like, Stroman is a good chunk of that. They're 23rd in WHIP. So, like, you know, that matches the eye test because you watch these guys, they're constantly putting traffic on the bases. They're escaping it a lot of the time. But it's a lot of labor in these short outings because they're constantly working extra hard to escape these jams. And then the bullpen, they've got the 8th best ERA in baseball at the moment. The fifth most innings pitched. So they are already working a ton. They have the 17th WHIP. Again, they're putting traffic on, but they're escaping. But they're escaping. I'm just concerned about the reliability because a lot of the numbers, the good numbers from the rotation, from the pen, are like on one or two guys, right? With the rotation, Stroman's been your best guy. He's been the guy that's giving you innings, but at the same time limiting runs, and he instills this confidence in you. Carlos Rodon, he has, he has been the same in regards to not giving the Yankees any length. He's been the same as Louis Seal, as Clark Schmidt, as Nestor Cortez. As much as Carlos has looked better than last year, he's also not giving you much length. Rodon, Heel, Schmidt, and Nestor. Like all four of those guys, all four of them are limiting runs. They're not giving up a ton of runs, but they're not giving you length. And you just can't keep throwing out guys 4 out of every 5 days who are going 4 innings, 4 1/3 innings, 4 2/3 innings. So I get concerned. I don't know how much you can keep going to the bullpen when Ian Hamilton's been like their only lockdown guy right now. And even he imploded last night on Saturday. Ian Hamilton's got great stuff. He's had great command. Dots that two-seamer. He's been super consistent for the Yankees going on 2 years now. I trust Ian Hamilton. I think he's great. I trust him so much to where I've, advocated for him to be closer at some point. Him being the new Michael King is what the Yankees should have been working towards as opposed to Lasagna. Maybe that's what got Lasagna hurt. But Hamilton's been great. He's been reliable. Everybody else, I don't know, man. Like, Clay Holmes is untrustworthy. You got to worry about his command. He's been getting helped out by the defense. He's been letting up a ton of inherited runs, which don't go on ERA. This guy Ferguson has been so-so. Couple good, couple bad. Luke Weaver has been pretty bad of late. He's allowed runs in 2 of these 3 games he's pitched in. Excuse me. Who else? Victor Gonzalez has been not a ton of runs, but he puts a ton of traffic on. He's supposed to be your new Peralta. And then you got, mop-up guys like Santana, Cousins. So it's a lot of randoms. And then you got Loizaga, who's finished. Tommy Kahnle's still out. Scott Efros is going to be out a while. Lou Trevino is going to be out a while. So I think the Yankees are going to have to make an early acquisition to get some pitching. I thought they really struck out by not bringing back Peralta. And I thought they really struck out by not spending money and signing Josh Hader and then letting him go to Houston. I don't want to hear anything about the price because you're the fucking Yankees. We've already gone over that. I feel like Hader would have been perfect. But they chose not to spend. They chose not to spend on starting pitching. We've gone over that plenty. So who's available now? When are they going to be available? Do you look for Trevor Bauer? What happened there? Like, is he still looking for? I don't think it's ever going to happen. But do you move Luis Seal to the pen? Do you call up Clayton Beater? I don't know, man. Like, it's tough. It's tough to envision this bullpen continuing to pitch 4+ innings every night and shut it down. I know that the Yankees are very good doing the Cashman-Blake special, right? Cashman finds a random, Blake turns him into a solid arm, but usually that works when you have, like the Yankees have done that the last several years with a core of go-to elites, and then surrounding those go-to guys are your reclamation projects. This year, it doesn't seem like they have that core. Again, King is gone. Peralta is gone. The other guys are hurt. So it's like it's a bunch of randoms and a bunch of new faces, and there's no core. There's only Ian Hamilton who you really trust. So it scares the shit out of me. How many guys, how much can they really test that Cashman-Blake thing? They're pushing it. So I think they're going to have to make a move, whether it be a guy in the bullpen or the rotation. It's probably going to be, if they do, it's going to be a couple guys in the bullpen, because the rotation's what it is right now. You don't want to mess up that, but you cannot. Like, I just don't see offense is really good in the American League East, and with Boston playing the way they're hitting, fuck. You need some arms. The good thing is Marcus Stroman. And I'm going to hand out my first award. I'm going to tip my cap to Marcus Stroman. 6 innings, no runs, 3 hits, a walk, 6 strikeouts, no home runs allowed, 98 pitches thrown, and unfortunately got the no decision in the home opener on Friday afternoon. That's 2 times pitched and 2 tip of the caps for Marcus Stroman, because he's just been that good. I wish he got the win. He deserved it. This is a guy who I'm rooting for like hell now. I never thought I'd be saying that, but this guy excites me, man. He's fun. And he's a good pitcher. You hear the old cliche, pitcher versus a chucker, right? Like Carlos Rodon, he's like a chucker to me. He just chucks that fastball in there and tries to get by with it. Marcus Stroman is not a guy who's going to rely on velocity. Marcus Stroman's a guy who's going to pitch. He's going to throw a lot of he's going to mix up his pitches. He's got a very good, very deep, diverse pitch mix, and he digs into his bag. 4-seamer, he's got a 4-seamer. He can sink it. He can cut the fastball. He can split it. He can tail it. He's got a slider and a slurve in his secondary. And he was using those fastballs all day. He was clipping the edges with the sinker, with the cutter. He's using the cutter a lot this year. And that is something that Matt Blake has emphasized since he's been with the Yankees, is the cut fastball. And he's getting some really good results with it. He's changing eye levels. He's mostly going inside out, left side of the plate, right side of the plate, depending on the handedness of the hitter. He's going low in the zone with the 2-seam sinker, generating a lot of soft contact, a lot of ground balls. He's really, he knows how to fucking pitch, this guy. And that's why I have multiple times now said I think he's going to have a really good year here in the Bronx, because Marcus Stroman, solid pitcher as it is, pair him with Matt Blake, who's just a pitching guru. I really do like Blake. I think it's going to do wonders here. And the guy just has this confidence, right? He's just always comfortable out there. He doesn't stray. He's just got this calm demeanor. He's always in rhythm, and he's I don't know, zen. He's zen. Like the first inning, the first at bat, I think it was on Friday, he gives up the leadoff double. He gives up a leadoff double, and then he gets out of it no problem. Just he's not a guy who's gonna fold under pressure. He doesn't seem like that type of guy. So I'm gonna tip my cap to him for the second time in 2 starts. Marcus Stroman, keep doing your thing. That's awesome. Let's go to the bullpen, if we're on the topic of pitching, and I will tip my cap to Victor Gonzalez. Victor Gonzalez, he pitched game 2 of this series, so he only pitched in one game, but an inning and a third, no runs, a walk, 18 pitches needed, and this was like a process of elimination because the bullpen was so bad. I think that Victor Gonzalez was the lone pitcher in this series that did not give up a run or an inherited run. So he gets my respect. He gets the tip of the cap. All right. So Victor Gonzalez, his first of the year, tipping my cap to him. And then let's go to the lineup, and I will tip my cap to Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton in this series, 4 for 12, which is a .333 average. That gave him a 1.167 OPS. He hit 2 home runs against the Jays this series, had 5 RBIs, 4 strikeouts, 2 runs scored, and 10 total bases. Played in all 3 games, and he produced in the last 2 games. So I thought Stanton was good. I was worried because game 1, Stanton, Toronto was walking Aaron Judge to get to him. And, he was having some more trouble with the fastball. That started to get a little louder. Stanton's not turning on fastballs. Games 2 and 3 come, and he starts mashing fastballs. And 3 of Stanton's 4 hits in this series came off the fastball. And that's going to be key for him. I want to see if he can keep hitting that because that's a pitch that has given him problems the last couple of years. And it's a pitch that usually when you stop hitting fastballs, it's a sign that you're starting to regress, that your bat speed's not the same, your timing's not what it was. So I want to see how this looks going into Miami, his former team. But I tell you what, man, if fucking Giancarlo Stanton can just be productive, stay healthy, and just be a fucking threat, just be a little bit of a threat. He doesn't have to be an MVP like he was. If he's just a threat, he unlocks so much more upside to this lineup. Like going into the season, I said this is going to be a top 7 offense. They're going to produce offense. If Stanton's a threat, 230, 30, 35 bombs, this is going to be the number 1 offense in baseball. I'm not doubting that. Because you already have Soto and Judge, and again, you're gonna get production from guys like Glaber and Verdugo based off their track records. Like Stanton starts hitting, we'll see what Rizzo and the other lefties do, but Stanton starts hitting. This is a fucking this is another 30+ homer threat. This is crazy, but we need to see more, and he needs to keep doing it because Jason Dominguez is looming. The guy's coming back in a few months. Maybe less. So that's maybe good for Stanton. Dominguez is putting pressure on Verdugo a little bit too. Right? That's another thing. Alex Verdugo hasn't been tearing the cover off the ball so far, but he is putting up some solid at-bats. But I kind of made a tweet about it. Like if Verdugo doesn't start hitting, you never know. If Dominguez comes back and I don't know, is his trade value going to be any good if he's not hitting by the time Jason gets back? I think if Verdugo does get hot and Jason comes back, let's say June something, it's a good trade bait to get some pitching, some bullpen help, some rotation help. Team looking for a rental. But he's been showing a little life. I need something from him though. Other lefties like Austin Wells, not hitting consistently yet, but I do like the indicators. The indicators are there. He's driving the ball. He just missed a couple of home runs. He's driving the ball to the opposite way. He's going to center field. And the at-bats he's putting up are very solid. He's getting deep into counts. So I like what I'm seeing from Austin Wells. I think eventually it's going to come around. He's got 3 more games at Yankee Stadium this week. But yeah, like we talk about pitches per plate appearance, Austin Wells is a big reason for that. Oswaldo is staying consistent. He's not Babe Ruth like he was in Houston, but he's still picking up hits. His 2-strike hitting has been excellent this year. His 2-strike hitting has been excellent. That was a big problem for him last year. His approach has changed. You can see it. He batted righty a little bit this series. Anthony Rizzo is slowly coming around too. It was good to see him hit a few fastballs this series, because that was a problem for him. But he had a good series. He got on base 5 times, drove in 3 runs, and he's very important. If Glaber's important before Soto and Judge, Rizzo's important after them. He follows them. He's your cleanup bat. He's got to bring those guys in as they get on base. Juan Soto found it again this series. He had a little bit of a quiet series in Arizona. Comes back home, and in his last 2 games, 3 RBIs, 3 for 6, was on base 6 times. So there's Juan Soto right there. And again, his at-bats are unbelievable. The guy knows the zone more than anybody, more than umpires do. And he's a big reason that this whole lefty-righty balance thing is working out, because it's hard to, as a pitcher, it's hard to breeze by a lineup when this guy's a mismatch, this guy's a matchup, this guy's a mismatch, and that's the reason the Yankees are the 2nd in the MLB in pitches per plate appearance behind the Angels. They're also 3rd in baseball in walks. So, and a big reason for their production is also the fact that they're putting out consistent lineups, people. They're fucking, for the 4th time in 10 games, this year, Boone has repeated the lineup. And remember, one of those times was when Volpe was sick. One of the 6 times he didn't. So it's last year they didn't repeat a lineup more than twice. So that says all you need to hear. And the fact that Austin Wells caught today after catching a night game yesterday, not something they always did. Maybe it's a little more than just a 50-50. Hopefully it becomes Austin Wells full-time with Trevino spared here and there, because I can't take his at-bats any longer. It's not even that Trevino's not hitting. It's that Austin Wells is putting up good at-bats and Trevino's not. I don't know who is pitching tomorrow for Miami, but I would still like for it to be Wells. I want Wells to get some lefties just so he's not conditioned to only be a platoon guy. But yeah, the Marlins are next. They are now 1-9. They got their first win today, which I'm kind of happy for, because law of averages say, like, what are the odds they go 0-12 to start the year? So they got their first win out of the way, which means hopefully the Yankees can sweep them, because you really should be sweeping this team. Would it be the worst thing in the world if they took 2 out of 3? I wouldn't love it, but like, it's hard to ask a team to sweep and start the season 9-10-11-2, But like, let's try it. This is a bad team. Make them look like a bad team. So that's it there. Let's head to our final break, and then we'll get back and wrap it up with our trivia. Stay with us here on episode 660 of the podcast.
If you're interested in our website, just go to www.bd4blog.com. You can subscribe to our blog on there right on the front page. Just like on the podcast, we cover Yankees, Knicks, and MMA. Also on our website are the links to the different platforms for the podcast. Thanks so much.
Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born.
Thanks for listening to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA, Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion.
All right, let's get to our trivia. Okay. For episode 660 here, our NYY, NYK, MMA trivia question of the day. Which Yankees pitcher did Casey Stengel unexpectedly start in place of Whitey Ford in Game 1 of the 1960 World Series? All right, one last time. Which Yankees pitcher did Casey Stengel unexpectedly start in place of Whitey Ford in Game 1 of the 1960s World Series? Let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out in the next show. Folks, that's it. Episode 660 is in the books. The Yanks take their first home series. Good to see. Starting out the season with 3 consecutive series wins. The NL champs, the Houston Astros, and a very solid Toronto Blue Jay team. So, Miami is next. Now you have an opportunity to beat up on a bad team. Let's not make it any more than it needs to be. Let's beat the bad team. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it very much, and I'll see you in episode 661, where we'll probably talk Knicks and that. Yanks fans, I'll see you in a few more. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you, and we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees, and go Knicks!